All right, let's talk Saints. I saw a piece on ESPN.com today that was talking about the biggest positive for each franchise entering the 2025 year. And the Saints was a little bit backhanded, but I think it's rooted in absolute truth. And it's something that we've been talking about, but it's also something that I got some numbers put in front of me that I really liked. And I told y'all this, like, every single nuance of the salary cap is a little bit more than I'm willing to sign off for. I get the concepts, but if you hand me the numbers and tell me verbally what they're going to do, I'm going to have a hard time completely solving the equation, okay? Just hand up. But if you do it for me, I can interpret what that means. And ESPN.com did it for me, so let's talk about it. The backhanded compliment about the best thing was that a reboot is being forced upon the Saints. With Derek Carr's retirement, with the state of the roster, with the salary cap, like, the Saints didn't really have a choice. They couldn't really go get a quarterback at the top of the draft to mortgage all the draft picks, and they didn't have a lot of space to. They were kind of stuck with, okay, you got Rattler, you drafted Shook, okay, let's go. And now you look at the rest of the roster, and you kind of look at it realizing where you are. But the numbers that come with the salary cap that is really, really, really close are so encouraging. Marshon Lattimore comes off the books after 2025, $31.7 million. Michael Thomas comes off the books after 2025, $9.2 million. Derek Carr is coming off the books in a couple of years, but that number is drastically decreased based on his retirement and the deferral of that $30 million that he's no longer going to demand. Ryan Ramczyk's retirement happens. And then, after this season, Taysom Hill, Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, Tyrann Mathieu, the contracts are going to expire. And if you spread their dead cap hits over 2 years, you're talking about freeing up about $7 million. So I put all those numbers in front of you to say this. Every year, we look at the salary cap, and what does the Saints number look like? Generally speaking, and I'm using general terms, $50 million over, $65 million over, $73 million over the cap as you approach the offseason, where you're trying to add to your roster, but you're $70 million over the cap. That's what it usually looks like when you hit the offseason. And when you take Lattimore and Thomas and Taysom Hill, Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, Tyrann Mathieu, Derek Carr, Ryan Ramczyk, this group of players, before you restructure in a single deal on the current roster, which is what they always have to do to get compliant, before you restructure anybody else, the Saints have $33 million of space on the projected cap moving into 2026. Speaking in general terms, that is a $100 million difference than where they usually are. $100 million. Now, there are always things that come up with contracts and things change. So I can't speak to exactly what that number is going to be when we get to that point. What I can tell you with certainty is that it's miles better than any place you have been in the last 10 years. And that right there is a welcome sight. Now, I'm well aware that freeing up that $33 million under the cap means you no longer have Taysom Hill as a playmaker. You no longer have Demario Davis in the middle of your defense. You no longer have Tyrann Mathieu as a starting safety and Cam Jordan as one of your edge players. You don't have Derek Carr at quarterback. There are roster holes that have to be filled. So it's not apples to apples. It's not like, oh, your roster's already full and you've got to fill that and you're going to spend money to do it, right? But still, it's so much different than it's been for so long. And again, you've probably got to just eat this year because freeing up some cash from Derek Carr doesn't allow you to do much at this point in the calendar. There aren't enough quality players left to make any changes. But just looking at that Excel spreadsheet or whatever Kai Harley's got over there, it looks so much better. Now the roster doesn't look as good as it did 3 years ago. You got to change that. But you have the flexibility to actually go out and do it. There are two pieces of the puzzle when acquiring talent. You've got to be able to afford it, and you've got to be able to evaluate it. Now, you're going to be able to afford it. You're going to have draft picks, probably high ones, and you now have some space to afford it. You got to marry those together to make this next run. It's very much easier said than done, but you couldn't even say it previously. And when I'm reading the ESPN.com article and they finally put some actual numbers and names to some of these contracts that are coming off, and some of these guys, one or two of those guys may be on the team at a reduced number, but it's a significantly reduced number. There's a lot of fat checks coming off the books really soon. And so you realize that, you look at Kool-Aid McKinstry and Kendre Miller and Chris Olave, and you look at Taliesin Fuaga and Kelvin Banks, and you look at Eric McCoy, you look at Brian Brzee, and you hope that those guys become pillars, and that now, for the first time in a long time, you feel like you can really get into the free agent market and not go shopping all the dented cans that are discount prices like Adam Sandler and Big Daddy. You can actually go spend money on real players that can come in and help. You don't have to hope you strike gold on a diamond in the rough. It's great when you hit on DeMario Davis like that, but I'd rather not do that. I'd rather just go sign the guy who's coming off of a great year. And you can't do that when you're $72 million over the cap. 33 under? Huh? We may be able to talk. So that, to me, yeah, it's a backhanded thing to say that a positive thing about your team is that you have to go through a rebuild. That's a negative. But when you expound on it and you look at the actual numbers and the names that are coming off the books and the possibilities that brings for a change of course in the organization, that is a positive. It's just a year away. There's a look at your New Orleans Saints. Ross Jackson is at Saints OTAs today. They just got out of the locker room, so they've had some opportunities to chat with Kellen Moore, some of the players, about what they've been doing over at OTAs. I'm guessing he'll probably join Matt on the show today, this afternoon. He'll definitely have a couple pieces up at LouisianaSports.net. So if you want to stay in tune with the Saints, you can certainly do it here, wherever you find your sound, via the radio or on YouTube. But you can also go to LouisianaSports.net and read Ross's write-ups for free. Hey, it's on. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.